Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Keeping Type A's on their A game. I'm your host, Raj Lehl, body mind intelligence therapist, and I'm really excited because today we're talking about love and relationships. I strongly believe that love is the most powerful healing force in the world, yet many successful women with full lives, including myself, are finding that it has eluded them and are consciously opting to remain single, which is a huge waste of this beautiful heart energy that we all have. So why is this happening and what can we do about it? So today I'd like to welcome Naomie Thompson, a dating and relationship coach. His clients are accomplished women who are feeling hopeless and burnt out around love. And she helps them to date with ease and attract the relationship that they want. So Naomie, welcome.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's so lovely to have you. I have so many questions for you. So let's dive straight in. Why are people who are otherwise successful in every other area of their life, they're in shape, they love their careers, they have thriving social lives, they have great friends, they're spiritual, why are they struggling to find love?
Okay, so this is definitely the experience I had. And what happens is as women, we live in a very masculine world.
Mm-hmm.
Our schooling is very masculine energy. And so just a quick dive into masculine and feminine energy. It's not manly and womanly energy, but masculine energy is all about action, doing, thinking, problem solving. It's everything that's up here.
Okay.
And feminine energy is like feeling, sensing, being, receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And when a woman's in her feminine energy, it can almost feel like she's not doing very much. Now, we learn to get approval. We learn to get respect. We learn to get acknowledgement and love and praise from being clever, from our achievements, from our successes, whether they're our grades at school, whether they are our team winning in sports. We learn that achievement and success gets us love. Now, it gets us praise from our parents. It might get us the income we want in our career. It can get us the body shape we want. But what happens is when we bring that achievement attitude, that problem solving attitude, that action orientated attitude into our relationships with men, it kills any polarity, and it isn't the route to love. And actually what might be really useful is if I kind of talk about the 3 routes to love that we think will get us to love, but don't. Would that be really useful if I
think it would be. If I can just ask a question. So the achievement side of things, the goal orientation, is that a masculine energy then?
Yeah, absolutely. And by masculine, I don't mean a manly energy. Like we need our masculine energy.
We all have both.
Yeah. And nurturing and raising children, nurturing is by its very nature masculine energy. But it is a feminine quality. You know, it's like a feminine a role. It's very, very healthy to nurture children. We have to be problem solving. We have to be taking action. We have to be the givers and not the receivers when we're raising our children.
Yes. Yeah.
What the problems start is when we start trying to bring that nurturing, helpful, advice giving energy with our partners. And that what happens is it becomes mothering. It kills any polarity in a relationship, and polarity is so important. So yes, absolutely, we need our masculine energy to get things done, to get the bills paid, to get the flights booked, to get. However, it doesn't work in our relationships with men.
I've heard that so many times from women where they say, this is like having another child. I'd rather just not have a relationship with a man. They feel like they're having to take care of the person. And although I appreciate in relationships, you take care of each other, but it's a different kind of taking care. It's more of a, as you say, more of the nurturing, more of the having to look after somebody like they're a child, when in fact you want a partner.
Yeah, it kills sex drive. It kills
Yes.
sex. It
Yeah.
kills, polarity is that having that masculine and feminine polarity in a relationship is what creates the juice. If you've seen those relationships that endure for years,
Yes.
and they still delight in each other, they giggle together. He still brings her flowers. He opens the door for her. I think of my grandparents, he would open the car door for her. There is still that his energy is more giving and her energy is more receiving. Now, people get themselves all upset about this. They're like, yes, but it's modern times. But it can be quite subtle. And actually, if we want to move away from relationships that just feel androgynous, is a great word. Like you're living with your roommate or your brother. If we want to move away from that, we need to move towards polarity. And that can absolutely exist in our modern world with women who are successful in their careers and successful in their life.
There is so much negative messaging out there. And I know I had it myself, and I think to a certain extent I still do, which is, if you are a successful woman, you will not be loved. You will not be able to find that partner, or you will scare him off. And there are lots of dating coaches and people that I've seen online where they're feeding this message, which is very much like the male is presented as this kitten, and as a woman you can't say boo because you may scare him off, which of course is very off-putting for women, because they want a man to be in his masculine. They don't want somebody who's going to be scared off because they've shared their feelings, or because they're intimidated by their success. So just going back to what you were saying about was it the 4 routes to love?
Yes, there's like 3 wrong routes to love, and only one that works.
Okay, want to hear about that.
Okay, so the 3 wrong routes to love: the mind, the body, and the spirit. So the mind, all of those 3 can definitely be part of the picture of attraction and what connects your life partner to you. But without the 4th element, there can be no lifelong devotion and the juicy, polarized relationship that I'm talking about. So the mind, yes, you can have, great discussions, great debates.
Which is a huge turn on for a lot of people.
A huge turn on. However, it can trigger sparky sex, but it doesn't trigger devotion.
Okay.
It does not trigger that urge in a guy to really cherish and devote himself without the 4th element. So the mind, yes, at best you're going to have a really great friendship, someone you can connect with on. And you know what? I have that in my relationship and I love it. That's an element that's so important to me. But without the 4th element, it's just a friendship. The second is the body. Yes, men are visual creatures. We, and we feel great when we dress in colors and makeup and the things that really suit us. Absolutely, we feel great. But on their own, it can become as a masculine energy strategy. I want to seduce him. I want to look more sexy for him. Yeah, you can get more sex, but it will never get you the lifelong devotion you want. It's part of the picture, but it's again, it won't get you there. The spirit, yes, maybe you've got a spiritual connection, the same religion, you meditate together, all of those things. Again, that is a connection on its own that will get you a closeness with someone, but it will never, ever, ever spark his urge to cherish you and devote his life to you. What you need is the emotional connection.
Okay.
With the emotional connection changes everything. But with the emotional connection, the way it's like, the emotional connection comes from the heart connection. So it's like when we first meet somebody, when you first meet someone, It's like you're wide open and you're just like, oh my gosh,
Yes,
get
you
to
feel
know
like you can fly. You feel like you
yeah,
could build cities and
your
paint
heart is
amazing paintings.
open.
Yes,
You're
yeah,
real, you're vulnerable, you're all of
powerful.
these things.
Mhm.
And then what happens is slowly but surely, it's like the bricks go up and we feel a bit more anxious and a bit more worried. And is he going to hurt me? And all of those old wounds come up.
Mhm.
We learn how to become strong on the outside because
Yes.
somewhere inside we're scared of the vulnerability of love.
Mhm.
And having an emotional connection with someone requires us to learn how to wear our strength on the inside. We wear our strength on the inside, so on the outside, we can be soft and inviting and feminine because we know we're strong on the inside. So then we can actually open up our heart. And so many of us, how we wear our strength on the inside can be with being clever, can
Mhm.
be with being successful. It can be with how great we look. It can just be that we're more reserved and aloof. We can wear our strength on the outside as a kind of armor, dressed up as many things.
Mhm.
So a lot of the women I work with, they spend a lot of time up in their head because that's what life has
Yes.
required of them.
Yeah.
And to have an emotional connection with a guy, especially if you want to meet a guy who has got that masculine energy, he will lead the relationship. He will bring some romance and cherishing and
Mhm.
all of those wonderful things that most women absolutely crave. We are going to need to get vulnerable and learn to be okay with that vulnerability. But when we learn how to be strong on the inside, that's okay.
Yes. Otherwise, it's very, very tough. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, including myself, I struggle with that too. And my work is about having an open heart. I couldn't do the work that I do if I didn't have that. But then in the practice room or with my children or with my friends, it's very, very different to then sitting there in front of a male and allowing myself to be vulnerable. And I feel like it comes from the energy of the other person that you're with. And then that's when it comes down to what you're attracting and the reason you're attracting them, which is also something that I know you work with your clients on.
Yes, absolutely. Because the way I see it is unconsciously we attract someone who has the same tolerance for intimacy that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and this is unconscious. So it's like we say, for example, we can cope with this 6-inch distance of intimacy
Yeah.
from everything we've experienced in our life, our upbringing, all our love experiences, everything. We can cope with that. And so we are unconsciously going to choose someone who also can cope with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, this is how it shows up in reality, and that might be really helpful for people to see this. When I was a teenager and in my 20s, I remember having guys, really good guys, really loving guys, really sweet guys, express their love for me. But my intimacy distance tolerance did not allow them to get closer.
Yes.
And so what came up for me was, they're too nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, I'm not feeling any chemistry, not feeling it for them. So what that looks like is a guy comes closer, and because
Mm-hmm.
my intimacy distance is that much, I would pull away. And I would pull away, and in my head, it was like, no, they're too nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling the butterflies. The guys who sparked the butterflies in me were the guys who were less available. They were hot and cold. They'd pursue me and then back off. I never quite knew where I was with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the guys who pulled away. So that would pull me towards them. And I would then find myself trying to be extra helpful, try and show them how attractive I was, how clever I am.
Yeah, you're selling yourself more.
Yeah, I was having
Love
to
me,
sell
pick
myself.
me, I'm amazing, spend time with me, adore me.
Yeah, yes. So the process is, and the process I took was to turn myself off. The guys who activated my nervous system gave me all the chemistry butterflies. And people say to me, yeah, but I want to feel all the chemistry. I want to feel the butterflies. And it's like, yes, but we start with compatibility. and chemistry grows. Very rarely, if you start with chemistry, does compatibility grow. Now, of course, you're going to get chemistry. Of course you are. In the your perfect relationship, you're going to have chemistry. But I really urge people to see that might not happen straight away. You might have a date. My partner, I adore him. And our first date was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home, thought that was nice, and carried on. And it's not like I forgot about him, but he just wasn't.
It wasn't lightning.
There was no. And then he called me, and then we every day, and then we met, and he filled up my calendar. And before you know it, we're in this wonderful relationship.
Our society is so built around this idea of romance, and that you meet somebody and you'll have the butterflies and your eyes will lock across the room. And so I think that gets fed in at a very young age, actually, into the minds of young girls. And then you grow up with this. I mean, I'm Indian. My parents are Punjabi. I grew up watching these Bollywood movies where, you have this amazing love and people die for each other and you dance around flowers in the rain. So that was and a man rides a horse. My father's favorite movie was El Cid. And so I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I grew up with this idea in my head that is what a man is, and he rides his horses into battle, and he's a protector and a provider. And then you get into life and you think, oh, okay, it doesn't quite work like this. But the idea of meeting somebody who is compatible and the chemistry growing is something that even when as you were saying it, the first thing that went through my head was, oh, that sounds boring. But when you said, no, the chemistry grows.
I love it. But you know what? There was a client of mine recently, and she came on a call with me, and she said, he's nice, and Naomi, you've kept saying to me to meet him again, and I have met him again and again, and we have a great time. We have a really good laugh, and he really is an absolute sweetheart, but I'm just not getting any chemistry, and he still hasn't tried to kiss me yet, and I don't know what I'll do if he does, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, meet him one more time. And I don't want you to lead. I don't want you to lean in and kiss him.
Mm-hmm.
But how about you just get playful? Because Raj, feminine energy is playful. Feminine energy is light. It's the part of us that is just girl. It's the girl in us, Yeah. And I said, how about, and we practiced her saying to him, going through the date, having a great time, and then just saying to him, so what does a girl have to do to get a kiss around here? And it was something like that, very playful.
Yeah.
He kissed her, and the chemistry started. Her hormones started to kick in. Next call, she had a bit of a smile on her face. Then she was seeing him again. Then the real chemistry started ramping up. Then they started a sexual relationship. Now, I mean, oh my God.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Beautiful. The messages I get from her. She said, Naomi, I am getting the feelings that I knew I wanted to feel before I met him. Because Raj, that's the first thing I do with my clients. Get clear on your desires. And I don't mean clear in I'd love to talk to you about that actually, but I don't want to jump too quickly if you've got another question around this. But yes, the chemistry can grow. If it doesn't grow, you need to let him go. But giving it time to grow, because what you were talking about, the Bollywood movie,
yes,
everything. I have that now with my partner. My client, it will be growing that now. He arrives at my door with a dozen red roses. We do hug and kiss, and we have the wonderful time. I have his beautiful gifts and his cards and the plans he makes for us. So all of that can happen, but it doesn't have to start when you first meet. It can grow, and then you have it for life.
That is so good to hear. That's so good to hear. And actually probably a healthier way, I think, to approach dating. Because what's the point? If there's a lot of chemistry, but you don't want a long distance relationship and the person lives across the other side of the Pacific or the Atlantic, then it's not going to work. So, yeah.
it's, someone said, gave a wonderful image of this, because when you're chasing chemistry, dating is a roller coaster and it's exhausting.
Yes.
Every date is is he the one? Oh no, he's not. Is he the one? No, he's not.
That's why a lot of people give up, and they resign themselves to just being single, and they're quite happy. They have a full life. They think, well, no, what's the point? I really don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, it absolutely breaks my heart when women are burnt out and they want to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do, and someone gave this great analogy, fairground analogy, of the roller coaster and the Ferris wheel. And actually, dating can be more like a Ferris wheel. It's steady. It's just steady. And you just get different views as you go round. But actually, it depends. If you have the right perspective of dating, you keep the focus on you, how you want to feel in the relationship you want, an understanding of your triggers, tools to be able to cope with those triggers in situ with guys while you're on a date.
I wanted to ask you about that, actually, dating after trauma. So some people have this idea that you need to have gone through this big, long healing process before you can date. And healing is something that you continue to do because we're all traumatized to a certain extent by life, by being human, and the things that we experience and things that we see on a daily basis. And then, of course, you have people who go through very, very big traumas and are processing that and working on that. But I don't believe that somebody needs to be alone through that process and not have a partner or not have love in their life. I believe that a partner can hold your hand whilst you're healing and going through that healing process. But what would you advise clients who, for example, have had lots of negative experiences? Perhaps they were in an abusive relationship or in a relationship with somebody who had a personality disorder. I know there's a lot of talk around narcissists and narcissistic personality disorders, and the emotions and the healing that comes afterwards, and how it really does eat into you because you are questioning your sanity. And then when you meet people and they tell you things, you don't know if it's true, you don't know if it's a lie, have they just made up their entire persona? And of course, there are people out there who do that. And I think if you're expecting that, you're more likely to attract it. But what would your advice be to women in that situation?
Okay, so I'll be real with you. My relationship ended because my husband was unfaithful. And so that's so traumatic for any woman who's gone through that, any man, anyone who's gone through it. It's incredibly traumatic. And what happens is when I spoke to you about, let me give you the analogy about when we become strong on the outside and versus strong on the inside. It's like an egg, like a raw egg. A raw egg is strong on the outside, and it has to be, because it has to contain this substance on the inside that cannot hold itself together. So it has to be strong on the inside until we've got another container for it. And so that's what we become like. We become strong on the outside, and all our traumas and all everything we've experienced make us strong on the outside like an egg. So that eggshell is fragile, but we have to work very hard to keep it safe. Being strong on the inside, the best analogy I could come up with is like a peach. A peach has her seed for life on the inside. No matter what happens to the outside,
Yes,
she can grow into a peach tree and produce more peaches.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
But the peach is vulnerable and soft and juicy and magnetic. If you've got a peach in a fruit bowl, everybody wants the peach.
Yes, yeah.
And she has to be taken care of when she's transported, she's high maintenance.
Yeah.
And I like high maintenance, by the way. I'm a big fan of high maintenance, and owning it. But when you are strong on the inside, life can do its thing, and you know you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
So we've experienced, I experienced my dad's suicide when I was 16. I experienced my husband being unfaithful. People have experienced worse than me. and different experiences. But, you know, I got to a place where it was like, do you know what? I feel so strong on the inside that whatever life throws at me, I'm going to be okay. And I don't need to worry about whether I trust men, because I trust myself, and I trust my instincts, and I trust my feelings, and I trust my boundaries. And so when you can get to that place, and that is where I'm moving my clients all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, I've absolutely had clients who've experienced narcissistic behavior in exes, or whatever the behavior was, it's left these women traumatized. So I would say, in terms of readiness for a relationship, I would say when you've stopped crying,
Mm-hmm.
or the initial crying,
Yes.
when you know you're not just trying to grab a relationship because you feel desperately lonely, you can start dating. However, you need a process, and you need to be dating with the mindset of, I'm going to learn about myself as I'm dating. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to learn about myself, and I'm not going to expect every man to be the right man for me, but I'm going to learn about myself, my triggers. I'm going to become more self-aware. I'm going to learn about what I don't want. I'm going to let all my exes give me information about what I don't want, what I do want. I'm going to learn about how I want to feel. I'm going to date lots of different people that I might have never considered dating before.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust that the right man will show up in this process. And
That's
having
the thing,
that,
isn't it? The trust and the having faith, and rather than fighting against the current, just
yeah.
going with it.
But relational trauma needs to be healed in relationship. Relational trauma cannot be healed just on its own. Yes, we can have, there's wonderful therapies out there. There's EMDR, there's body work, there's talking therapies, there's so many wonderful things that you can do. However, what often will happen is our old triggers will just kick in again as soon as we start sitting in front of a man.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I started dating, when my marriage ended, I felt like I was a teenager again.
Okay.
So I needed to date to heal.
Okay. So at any point did you, when you were being triggered, so you're in a situation, you're there on a date, somebody has said something or behaved a certain way, and you can feel the trigger coming up, and you can feel the response coming up, and you can feel your fight or flight kicking in.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you explain it?
Well, no, I wouldn't explain it to him necessarily. But okay, so if the masculine energy is about thinking and
Mm-hmm.
feminine energy is about feeling, our automatic response would be to avoid the feeling, because
Mm-hmm.
we've learned that it's just not safe. It's too difficult. I don't know how to process my feelings, because we're not taught to process our feelings as children. So what we're used to do, the protective part of us sends those sends those feelings up into our head. It sends the energy to our head where we can try and make sense of it. And what we'll do, we'll come to conclusions that we'll come to a conclusion, oh, he's not a great guy. I don't like him, or
Mm-hmm.
I've done something wrong. Whatever thoughts we might start having, the most helpful thing to do is go down into your body when you're getting triggered. And you'll know this from the amazing
Yes.
work you do. Just go into your body, follow that feeling in your body, let it be there. Because feelings, for me, it's like a river. You got like a river of feelings flowing.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is we want to cut them off. It's like we put a dam in the river and we say, no, I don't want to feel that. But when we do that, those feelings spill out sideways.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they come out at inappropriate times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They come out at inappropriate times. We're covertly hostile about something, but we might not really say it.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out on our loved ones at home. If you are sat in the presence of a man and there is a feeling coming and flowing through you, and you just let it be there in your body, let it, feel it, notice the sensation of it, notice your heart pounding, notice your belly clenching. that feeling will flow through you and carry on its way. And that, for me, is how you can heal all our traumas, big T traumas, little T traumas, while dating.
This is exactly what we do in the cranial sessions and the bodywork sessions. If a client is feeling something uncomfortable, firstly, it's welcomed. All feelings are welcome, whether it's anger, it's given that verbal welcome, and then the client is encouraged to sit with it. And then when you sit with it and you acknowledge it, you find that the fight or flight part of you, the one that wants to run away because it's so scary, and once you start running, you keep running, that starts to ease a bit because it's not actually that scary. And it reminds me actually of a dream I had many years ago that I spoke to my mentor about. And it was about being chased by a monster. Like, it was a childhood dream. But then on this occasion, I turned around and faced the monster, and then found that it just dissipated.
Yeah.
It wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
But as you so beautifully expressed, we tend to just cut those feelings off because they're so uncomfortable and they are painful, and it takes a lot to sit with that pain as well. And that's why it's amazing that this support that you provide is out there for relationships.
Absolutely. But I would say it's the beliefs we have around those feelings. You know, it's we start believing I'm not good enough. They're judging me. I'm, you know, I think I had this belief that other girls got the cherishing and the love and the flowers and the adoration. I'm just not that kind of girl. And I remember almost coming to that conclusion. And it was only when I learned this work, and I was dating after my marriage ended, and I was like, oh my goodness, actually, that was just an idea and a conclusion I came to. And it was a belief based on my fear of the vulnerable feelings. And actually, you know, one of the things that high achieving women especially need to do is get familiar with vulnerability.
Yes.
And just be okay with it, because well, it's learning to be okay with it. You can't just be okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's learning to be okay with just feeling vulnerable, because it's the vulnerability that closes that intimacy gap and brings you that cherishing, that love, that commitment that we really want. Otherwise, we are always going to attract men who can only get this close.
Yes. Yeah, I think we spoke about this before, where I said, so the men that, the women that I know, or the women that I've treated, they want to be able to take the trousers off, not wear the pants in the relationship. And they're finding that those men just aren't turning up, and they have to take on that role. Yeah. And then because they take on that role, they don't feel the way they want to be feeling with the man in the relationship. And so it doesn't last, or it doesn't work out, or they find that they're chewing them up and spitting them out, which isn't nice for either of them. And it's about being able to switch that part of themselves off, not completely, but the part that's made them successful in every other aspect of their life. It's like it's a whole different ball game. It's a different sport when you're in a relationship.
Absolutely. And it's the again, it comes back to, you know, the clearest steps that I can say that a woman can really move towards that relationship she wants. And the process I took is, one, get clear on what your desires. And I'd love to share with you the difference between masculine goal-oriented wants and desires and feminine desires. Because we can have masculine goal-oriented desires. I mean, many of us thought, well, I'll be married by 30, I'll have kids by 33, I want a university-educated husband, I love a tall man, blah, blah. These are masculine energy goal-oriented ones. And there's a part of us that thinks that that is going to equal the fairy tale feeling that we want. However, a feminine feeling desire is completely different to that. It does not depend on his education. our age. It does not depend on his height, does not depend on his financial status, does not depend on any of those things, even though we can have all the wonderful stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What it depends on is, how do I want to feel in a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And really what it comes down to with most of my clients and with me, I just wanted to feel safe, cherished, and loved.
And those things are, so when you say safe, they're actually connected to the masculine energy goals that you just described. Because I'm one of those. I'm really sorry, but I am, hands up. I'd like a man I'm very tall, so I'd like a man who is over 6 foot, because to me that equals protection. My father was very tall, my brother's very tall, so my sense of safety with a male presence is around how physically tall and big they are. But when you describe the feminine feeling, when you say it's about the safety, not actually about the height or the size of the male, so that's very interesting, because it's
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that, with having the tall guy. But when we put that masculine, goal-oriented want in the forefront,
mm-hmm.
the height of a guy will never ever create the feeling of safety. He
Mm-hmm.
might make you feel safe if you're. It won't ever. It won't.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
You could have a guy who is a few inches shorter than you, and he's just rock solid. You know he's going to call you every time. He provides beautifully for you and your family. He has got your back, and he's a lion and will protect you against anyone. You'll feel as safe as anything. You could have a guy who's 6'6", flaky as anything, never holds your hand when you cross the road, will always let you walk on the roadside of the pavement, and you don't feel safe. So it's putting how you want to feel in front of all of those masculine ones. So when you get clear on your desires, understand masculine and feminine energy, understand what they are and how they show up in your life. Getting familiar with vulnerability, processing your triggers by feeling them, learning how to process your triggers, rather than letting your triggers run you.
Yes.
Because otherwise your triggers sit in the driving seat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what we want to do is say, hey, fear, hey, triggers, I know you're there. I know you're not going away, but I want you to sit in the back seat, buckle up, look out the window, eat snacks. I'm the driver now.
Yeah.
And that fear and the parts of us that are terrified will sneak into the driving seat again. And that's when we have to take charge of ourselves again and say, get in the back seat. And then the fourth, and I would say is one of the most important, especially for high achieving women, is learning how to receive.
Yes.
Is learning how to receive. And I always thought, I was like, oh God, I really why do I always meet men who just can't quite tell me they love me and can't quite share their feelings with me? And what I realized is when men did that, I went speechless. It's like I couldn't receive it. It was almost overwhelming. And I had to learn how to receive it. I had to learn how to say, that makes me feel really happy to hear that. Or that's so lovely. Or thank you.
Is that in part because of the high achieving women that I treat and that I know, there is a sense of, I am not enough, very, very, very deep down. It could even be a grain of it. And then their success in life has come from them trying to not be in competition with anybody else, but trying to prove to themselves that they are enough. So therefore, when they're in relationships and the man is trying to give, they can't receive because there's a part of them that feels like they're not worthy.
That can absolutely be the case. And what can happen is that women, we often feel we have to give in order to get.
Yes.
It's like as we spoke about earlier, I have to prove myself. I have to show how great I am. And what happens is when two people come into the relationship with that masculine energy, So, you know, we've got a guy and he's pursuing and he's courting, because I am a total, you know, I say let women be courted. Men want to court women. And women want to be courted. My teenagers laugh at me, go, "You're so old-fashioned, Mum." And I'm like,
no, I love it. I love it.
We all love it. And what happens is, as a woman thinks, oh, I need to give back in equal amount.
Yes.
I need to give in equal. Like, you pay for dinner last night, I need to pay for the next dinner. Dun, dun, dun. What happens is that kills polarity.
Yes.
People have all sorts of opinions of what I talk about who pays for what. But it's not about the money. It's about, how can I receive? How can my feminine energy receive from the masculine? Because the masculine falls in love by giving. I mean, I'll just share with you, it was my 50th birthday last weekend, and I started planning a birthday party, and I started feeling stressed and anxious. How am I going to fit 50 people in my house? What if it rains? Everything. I was getting into masculine action mode. And I could feel the stress inside me. So I just stopped, and I messaged my friend, said, I'm going to cancel the party. It's just too much for me at the moment. What happened, as soon as I stopped over-functioning, overdoing, trying to organize everyone to celebrate me.
Yeah.
As soon as I stopped that, my partner started to organize a party for me with friends. My stepdad organized a beautiful 8-course dinner party for me.
Oh, wonderful.
Organized days out. People were making paper flowers for my party. My partner, and he hasn't specifically said this, but I can feel it, has fallen in love with me even more by being able to give to me.
Wow.
So it is in the masculine's giving and the feminine's receiving that the juice and the love and the devotion lives. And as women, if we can learn to be vulnerable and receive, you know, we get everything we want.
Yeah. 2 very big challenges, I think, for women in this day and age. But it's amazing to know that it's actually possible.
Absolutely. If I can do it, you know, if I could do it, I was the armored girl. I was the one who wore the trousers and didn't know how to take them off.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mothered my husband at times. I criticized him. I tried to control things. I did all of that.
Naomi, thank you so much for all these amazing nuggets. And I wish I could talk to you for another few hours, actually. I've still got so many questions, but I think we're going to have to wrap up here. So if somebody wants to work with you, how can they contact you?
Yes, you can contact me through my website. I don't know if you'll pop a link somewhere, but naomiethompson.com. Yeah, just get in touch with me there, or on social media. I'm on all the social media platforms. So yeah, you can get hold of me that way.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom. And you've given, I think you've given the listeners a lot to think about and some really helpful strategies. Thank you. And I hope we can do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Raj.
Okay, bye.